If you know somebody that is wanting to get into remote coding, the perfect place to start is risk adjustment or complete capture, which is abbreviated CCC. There's lots of jobs out there. This particular company we're familiar with, we've vetted them, and we know that they're hiring right now. Share this video with your friends if you know that they're wanting to work remote in risk adjustment. Hello everyone. Here at CCO, we get lots of questions and inquiries about how to land a remote job, or what do I need to do? How do I get in connection with somebody that offers remote work? Well, I get contacted quite a bit about people looking for coders who want to hire coders. Some are very open to hiring new coders, CPC-As, and some are not, right? But I would never tell you not to apply for a position because you're a CPC-A and you think that maybe you're not qualified, because you never know. Just because they are hiring for one position that you saw an advertisement for doesn't mean that they don't have other openings in areas that you might be a good fit, right? So feel free to always inquire. What's the worst that can happen? They'll just tell you, no, we don't have anything at this time for you. So again, if you see anything that you're even slightly interested in, send that resume out. The one caveat to that is that you do need to be certified. Nobody's going to hire you unless you're certified. Do you have to be a CPC? No. Could you be a CRC or a COC? Maybe you're a CIC. Maybe you're a CCS. Again, you just have to have a medical coding credential before anybody's going to look at you. Most people say, well, I'm a CPC-A. Doesn't matter, right? They are willing to let you take a pre-employment exam usually, and if they're not, then they'll tell you, we're not hiring for anybody at this time that doesn't have 3 to 5 years of experience in cardiology or something. And again, what's the worst they can do? They'll say no. But if you connect with a recruiter, chances are they're not just recruiting for one area. They may have connections in other places, and they get paid to the people that are paying them to find people, right? So they're going to bend over backwards to try to place you if you're qualified to do that. That being said, we've worked with Secure One in the past, and I had talked with Chris and on the phone several times. I've been in some meetings with him. And he sent me an email and said, hey, they've got some projects gearing up that they're looking to hire coders. And he said, you know, I could place 100 coders if you had them for me. And I thought, oh, okay. So I said, send over the information, Chris, and let me just do a little webinar. Let me do a little shout out to everybody, as well as students that we have, because we have students that are getting their first credential, but we have a lot of students that are working on more than one credential that would be qualified to go ahead and start working with you. So again, he said, no problem. He sent me this email. I kind of want to go over it with you to give you an idea of what to look for and maybe to help you get your foot in the door, right? So the first thing is, if you're looking at an organization, you don't know anything about them, or you don't have somebody like me saying, hey, I know this company, I know they're a real company. You know, you don't want to waste your time by companies that are maybe fly-by-night or outside the U.S. maybe. You want them to be vetted. Well, this company is vetted. I know that they've got lots of projects that they work on, and that I don't know how many years they've been working as Secure One Health, but I know that everybody that's working there are established people in the industry. Okay, so the first thing is go look them up, right? It doesn't matter who they are. Go look up Secure One Health Services. Google it. Find out any information you can about that. That will help you in the long run. Now, can you find out a lot of information? Not necessarily, but you might even go in if you're on LinkedIn and ask and say, hey, I saw that Secure One was wanting to hire. Does anybody have any past experience with them, positive or negative? And again, you may get negative responses. I mean, you may get positive responses, but at least you can get a feeling for what to expect from that point on, right? So that's the first thing that I would do. Feel free to ask at your local chapter, say, hey, have you heard of this particular company? Now, when we say a company like Optum, everybody's heard of Optum because they've been around forever. And they also have contracts with United Healthcare. So they have an MA program, so they do risk adjustment. They're well known for that. And there's other things. Okay, so most people would know Optum, but they might not know Secure One, or they might not know some of the others that we've mentioned out there. Again, it doesn't ask anywhere, right? Find your connections as part of the networking process. First step. The other thing is, what are they wanting? Right here, they're telling you they want full-time and part-time remote coders. Wow. Okay, so if you're looking for a full-time position, there you go. But if you're looking for a part-time position to get your foot in the door, to gain some more experience, maybe you're working at a job now and you want to add on some extra hours, remote work is really easy to do part-time along with other things because for the most part, they don't care when you put your hours in, just that you get your hours in a week, or that you get so many charts done at a time, right? So again, are you looking for full-time or part-time? Is that something they're offering? Maybe they're saying, no, we only want full-time. That's all we want. We don't want you to be working another position. So find out that. See if they're open to full-time and part-time coders. The other thing is, do you know what they're specifically hiring for? Now, this position is going to be working in risk adjustment. They want HCC and complete code capture projects. To kind of explain that for you real quick, HCC is if you're doing risk adjustment, that that's all the chronic conditions. When they say HCC, they're probably talking about CMS HCC and RX HCCs, right? If you don't know what those are, then you're probably not ready for one of these positions. But they also are looking for complete code capture. Now, that doesn't mean they're looking for CPT codes. That means they're looking for codes that are not just HCC or chronic conditions. So things that don't risk adjust. They're collecting all of the diagnosis codes on that patient, whether they risk adjust or not. That's what a complete code capture is. So with risk adjustment, again, for the most part, you're just doing chronic conditions, and these conditions are listed whether they carry an RxHCC or an HCC, right? And whether they do CMS HCC or an HHS HCC. I mean, that's a limited amount of codes ultimately in the scheme of things, whereas a complete code capture is any diagnosis code in the book, okay? And so you can see how the skill set might be a little different there. And it's not easy to flip your brain from one to the other always. But that being said, the fact that they're telling you that they want to collect HCCs and they have CCCs or complete code captures, that means they've got a lot of projects probably from more than one area that they're focusing on. So that tells you they're in need, in my opinion, okay? So they also say immediate projects that they've got open. What that tells me is that they're willing to take a chance on a CPC-I. If they can pass the exam to get, the pre-employment exam, then they'll give you a chance. Will you last? Maybe, maybe not. Will you work for a month and they say, hey, it's not working out? Maybe. But that's not a bad thing. You just got experience on a remote job that you would have never had before, right? So you're increasing your skill set. So then when you go to work at another project or say, hey, I worked a month for a remote position doing complete code capture, hey, that looks good on your resume, all right? So never think it's a bad thing. And again, with these type of coding positions, very high accuracy rate is required. Okay, so again, maybe you're not going to cut it in the beginning, but if they're willing to give you a chance because they need to have coders, that just is a win-win for you. That's a month of experience that you couldn't have had before. So when you go for another position, which can come up, immediately, then you can try for that, and you've already had some of that training under your belt. It's a positive thing. Now, they're wanting, this one's saying, hey, we're wanting to start the first week of November. That's now. We're recording this right now. And they are wanting to actually start you in production like the second week. So they're wanting, they want to get you in there right away. In other words, they have a lot of contracts that they need to cover. And so if you know of anybody else that is a coder, they would be, they would likely be interested in them as well. Not always do these positions last very long, but it does say they want part-time or full-time, right? So, hey, little Christmas money, little holiday money. With that being said, let's see what else they said. They're interested in all coders. That means you just have to be certified. They're doing, this is risk adjustment work. So one code set, diagnosis codes. You just really need to know diagnosis codes, ICD-10, CM, inside and out. And that means that they want to put you into production right away. They're willing to train you, okay? They also may have other projects. So they say, hey, this one's not a good fit for you, but I noticed when you were doing this, you may be a good fit over here. So do you mind taking a little additional training over here and we can use you? Absolutely, right? So being able to adapt from one type of coding to another, whether it's HCC and then do complete capture and then they say, okay, we got that project done. Hey, can we use you over here again? Being very adaptable. Fabulous to be able to do that when you're working remote. Then I might also add your personality comes through. Always be professional, always be pleasant, and be able to take criticism. Let it roll off your shoulder because you'll be audited a lot, right? And so again, your personality and having a positive attitude and being able to take that constructive criticism will mean that they would like to retain you and use you on another project, right? I'd much rather have a person they can train and mold on a project versus having Debbie Downer over here that's just, never mind. We'll just get rid of them, right? This is the link for this particular position. That is, go to hs.secure1.com/register, and they have a pre-employment exam that they would have you take. You would get results pretty quickly on that. It would be an online exam. And then ideally what they're wanting, and this is where I said heads up, just because you don't have this doesn't mean you shouldn't apply, right? Because the worst they can do is tell you no. Right. They want coders with 2 or more years of experience in risk adjustment, and you have to hold a certification, which he told me. He said, hey, we're willing to hire CPC-As if they can pass the pre-employment exam, but and not have the experience. We're willing to take a chance on them. However, they have to have a certification. He said, I'd love for them to have the CRC, but if they don't, they have the if they're a COC or even a CIC, again, they don't care. They just have to have a medical coding credential. And they want you to hit the ground running, right? These positions are open 24/7. That means they don't care if you work on the weekend. They don't care if you work at midnight, as long as you get the work done, right? And they're usually in a queue. This particular job, I know he told me that it is, that they were paying per chart on some, but it looks like, and there, he had sent me a list of how much they got paid per chart for complete code captures or risk adjustment only, et cetera, but that's something that you can inquire for them. That is advantageous to people that have experience, because if they're paid by chart, quite honestly, if I got paid by chart, I can knock them out pretty fast. I'd make a whole lot more money than if I got paid by hour. And if you're starting out, again, maybe if there's a position that's paid by hour, then you usually average 5 charts an hour with risk adjustment. So that kind of gives you an idea if you can do 5. And keep in mind also, another time to reiterate that risk adjustment is a year's worth of documentation. So it could be 30 pages or 500 or 1,000 pages of information that you have to go through. That's one chart, okay, multiple encounters. Again, that's just the way risk adjustment works. But he did say all training hours are going to be paid at $20 an hour, okay? And that is good to know. Training pay is going to be given to coders only after 90 days with coders' next pay period, and you can work out all the details there. Chris may not be the person that you talk to. He has a couple other people that are your contacts, but just look at this website. Again, the full one is https://hs.secure1.com/register. Take a chance. There are some other organizations that we've been getting recruitment information from, and we'll share those. We share that out there, only remote jobs on our CCO club. So if you're part of our CCO club, go in there and see what type of positions are being, we got Addison Group and some others that are looking for coders that are more diverse and not just risk adjustment. So take some time to look at that. If you're not in our CCO club, go and join. It's a real nominal amount of money, and it's a month-to-month thing that you can do for 1 month, or you can extend it out. But for the most part, I wanted to let you know that this is what happens when you get connected. A really easy way is to be connected on LinkedIn with recruiters. You want to put risk adjustment as your key words. HCC is not necessarily going to be a trigger for them. Okay, that's a layman's term, more or less. The true term is risk adjustment coding. Okay, and MA plans is Medicare Advantage are key terms also. If you're not on LinkedIn, get out there and do that. Come into the CCO club, ask questions, and in the future we get more like this that we're familiar with. Don't mind to do a shout out and do a little video. If you're working in risk adjustment and the company that you like right now, and you want to share that on the CCO club because they're hiring, then do it. That way it's kind of vetted by you, because the time of year, it depends what type of contracts. This time of year it either slows down or they get bombarded. So there you go. All right. Thank you, guys.
Do you need more medical certification and business training? Learn more at www.cco.us.